So I talked about this a little bit on my Patreon bonus podcast. If you're a $5 patron, you get access to over 50 bonus podcasts where you can ask me questions and I will answer them in a much longer, more in-depth version of basically what all these podcasts are. But this is a topic that was kind of asked coincidentally because it's been on my list of Wine Chamber podcasts to do. So I figured, fuck it. I'm just going to readdress it now because it's fresh in my brain and I think it's important. And it's the concept that art doesn't solve problems. Now, what do I mean by that? The question that was fielded is basically existential angst of being an artist and how to deal with it. Because in case you can't tell, I'm kind of busting my ass for very little reward. There's not much in terms of my artistic career that's bringing in crazy amounts of dividends. And I'm not alone in that. There are tons of people out there who are doing incredibly good work and getting incredibly little rewards for said work. So that whole hard work pays off. Being an artist doesn't really feel like that sometimes. Remember H.P. Lovecraft? Remember how he died penniless and nobody read his work, but now he's a cultural phenomenon fucking decades after his death? Man, that really throws a whole fucking monkey wrench into the idea that hard work pays off. I mean, I guess it did pay off, not for him, for everybody milking his ideas because it's in the public domain now. I suppose it's paying off for them, but they didn't really do any of the hard work, at least not conceptually. So I'm getting off in the weeds already, but basically, the question really was, how do you deal with your art not getting the attention you think it deserves? And my response was that that's the nature of being an artist trying to make personal projects. Because what is the engine that drives our entire society? Right now, it's capitalism. Capitalism is the method that we build wealth. And wealth is what equates success, which is what equates happiness. Essentially, you gotta buy that comfort. Everything's for sale. And your life is a burden upon yourself that must be satisfied monetarily. That is the unfortunate reality we live in right now. So, what is Business 101? How are businesses run, ideally? Well, the way business works is that you look out into the market, which is just the world. You identify problems that need to be solved. You identify a need or a desire of the people around you. And then you create a solution to that need or desire. You solve a problem. And by solving that problem and putting a price tag on the solution, you then market it to people who have that problem and they will give you their money in exchange for the solution. This is the basis of basically all of society and business right now. So this can work for artists if you're willing to basically sell your skills. Some people would call it a sellout. I don't think that's true. I think it's good business sense, using your creativity and your skills as an artist in a way that falls in line with the marketplace and how it works right now. If you're selling commissions, you're selling your drawing hand. You're saying, hey, people who can't draw, you have ideas that you want to be out into the world, but you can't do them. I will solve that problem for you. I will draw what's in your brain to the best of my abilities. We'll go back and forth. You'll tell me what you want. I'll do it for you. Then it will exist. Your problem of this image not being able to be created by you has been solved by my drawing hand. Therefore, I can make money doing that. Similarly, if you are a fan artist, if you're making art and selling it at conventions and stuff, you know that X anime of the season is really popular and people want to consume more content of it because they like it, and you create art of those characters that are really popular and then you put them out there for people to buy on merchandise or as prints or whatever the fuck else. You are satisfying a desire of the marketplace. The desire is they want to consume more secondary content for these franchises that they love. You are creating it and putting it out there. You are satisfying a need or desire of the market. These are the artists that make a lot of money. The ones that make even more money, porn artists. Everybody wants to jerk off. So if you can create good fat material, you're golden. This is how the market's designed to work. But if you're an idiot like me and says, fuck all that shit, I'm not interested, I'm a creative narcissist. And the creative narcissist is somebody who's like, fuck trying to satisfy the needs or desires of the market. I have ideas that I think are cool, and I want to make them, not because the market wants them, not because the market desires them, not because they solve a problem, but because I'm just fucking jerking off in my imagination all the time to all these cool things, and I want them out in the world. I want them to exist because I want to satisfy myself. I'm satisfying a market of one, of my own self-interest. And this is antithetical to business. You're not satisfying a need or desire to the market. So therefore, inherently, by design, nobody gives a fuck. You're starting at 0. Or I guess technically you're starting at 1 because you want it, but nobody the fuck else does. So your job becomes much more difficult because instead of designing a product around the needs or desires of the market, you are designing a product around your own narcissism, your own sense of desire. And now you have to fight the uphill battle of convincing the rest of the world that what you wanted is actually what they want too, even though they have no fucking idea what you're selling. They don't know about it. So you first have to show them what it is, and then you have to convince them to buy it. And this is like a 2-step process that's normally a 1-step process. Let me tell you, that first step is fucking titanic compared to the second one, because it's really easy to get people to find art based off a really popular anime, and it's really fucking easy to get people who don't know how to draw, who want drawings made, because that's like anybody really interested in fandom. But to get people interested in something that has no momentum behind it at all, that has no popular culture presence, like you're saying, I am so narcissistic, and by you, I'm talking about myself, I have the gall, the fucking autistic gall to say my character is worthy of being in the pantheon of pop culture alongside everything else to some degree, to a greater or lesser degree. I want my character and my ideas to be successful in the marketplace alongside all these other things. And that's a huge fucking ask. It's a huge fucking titanic ask, and it's a huge, massive battle that needs to be waged that honestly most people aren't up to the task of, because marketing is incredibly difficult, and no amount of marketing can really cover up the fact that like if your product isn't good enough, it's not really going to get anywhere. And that's really been my problem for a long time, is that I don't take enough time to work on my skills, and I'm not good enough at marketing to make up the difference between my skills and the expected standards of the marketplace. So that is why Azumi and this podcast serves no needs or desires of the market. It's just me talking out of my ass about whatever comes into my brain. So this is yet another narcissistic endeavor that doesn't serve any need or desire. What do podcasts usually do? They choose a topic that's popular, that people are actually interested in, and they cater to that market. Here's my technology podcast. Here's my politics podcast. Here's my podcast about Dragon Ball Z or whatever the fuck. This is how a podcast gets popular. This is how a YouTube channel gets popular. You talk about things that people actually care about. Nobody cares about me and my thoughts. This is not done in any logical sense. This is in no way a good business model. This is me being stupid. This is me being an autist. And this is why I have and probably always will continue to fail and like continue to subsist on the fucking bottom of the barrel, the bottom rungs of society, because for whatever fucking reason, my brain is so dead set. It has the fucking blinders on so much about just wanting to do what it wants to do in its own imagination and not capitulate to the realities of the marketplace, that nothing I do will ever gain any traction to the degree that it could have if I just capitulated. I made $2,000 a month on Patreon and had tens of thousands of subscribers when my desires narcissistically in my own brain happened to line up with something the market was interested, which was My Little Pony and cartoon analysis on YouTube. There was a golden age from 2012 through 2016 where what I wanted to do happened to have an audience besides myself, because I was making fandom content, and because there was a fandom to eat up that content, I had this small little intersection between my desires and what the market cared about, and there was a lot of money and a lot of success there. And as soon as those desires separated again, right back to the bottom of the barrel where I've always been my entire life, and where I'll probably continue to be for the rest of time. So yeah, to anybody out there who's like working on passion projects and wondering why it's not getting anywhere, this is why. Art doesn't solve problems inherently. You have to go out there and cater to people who want specific kinds of art. You can't just make shit up. I mean, you can, but it's a very, 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 very hard battle to get people to care. And just understand that before going in. Anybody who does original work, you're signing yourself up for a 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more difficult process, because nobody cares by default except for you. You're serving an audience of one, and your first job is making that audience more than one person. Very fucking difficult. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the Hyperbolic Whine Chamber. In addition to doing podcasts, I also make a bunch of 3D models and animations, which you can check out at twitter.com/TommyOliverSays. I'm also making a video game called Izumi and the Vertical Slice, and I have a simple game out right now called Ninja Suffering. You can check those out linked on said Twitter profile. If you want to help support the show and keep me making it and keeping it ad-free, you can check out patreon.com/polystation2 or subscribestar.com/Tom Oliver. Patrons have access to over 70 bonus podcasts, so if you like this podcast and want more right now, that's the place to do it. Thanks again for listening. This podcast updates 3 days a week, ideally, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so feel free to subscribe on your preferred platform so you can catch new episodes as they come out. And patrons get episodes a week early. That's all I got for now. Have a good one.